Sure. The ones I want to tell you about, there are two incredible art shows happening all month long, both here at the Chant Gallery in City Hall and up at the Root Center. Those are both highlighting queer artists of our past and present of Nevada County. Please check both of them out, they're incredible. And we've also got some flashback movies, but I'm a cheerleader will be playing. We're doing that in partnership with the Onyx at the Nevada Theater on the 14th. Please join us. Please come in full cheer regalia if you happen to have that in your closet from when you were a different person. Or when you and on June 16th, we have two incredible queer musicians coming to the area. We've got Barbara Higbee and Teresa Troll coming to put on a special benefit show for Nevada County Pride at the Wild Eye Pub. That's June 16th. There are still some tickets available. And lastly, I wanted to highlight that we'll have our 5th annual Pride Family Fest in Condon Park on June 28th. It's a little later in the season, so it will be a lovely end cap to your Pride celebration. Like I said, there's tons of things going on, and these flyers are circulating. So many Pride board members and other folks will be passing these out. Please grab one of these before you leave today and slap it on your fridge, because we'd love to see each other all month long. Happy Pride!
Welcome. It's so great to see you here at the sixth annual flag raising. And thanks to Daniela and Lou and others who put this together for the last few years. We really appreciate it. And to you, Annette. You know, Susan and Pascal are here. These flags that you'll be putting up here shortly are all here to help, right? Yes. That's due to their generosity. Briefly, I just want to talk about one of my best friends and a former board member, Andrew Rust, who passed away earlier this year. Drew was responsible for working with the city and Daniela on this event for the last 4 years. In addition, he was our potluck coordinator, he was our treasurer. He was a energetic activist in our community, not just for LGBTQ plus causes, but for all of them. And he will be deeply missed by our community. And this afternoon, when you put a flag up on the pole, I'd like you to think about that and do it in his memory. Thank you very much.
Hi folks, I'm Lou Cece. I'm your vice mayor of your very proudly 40% gay city council. Today we'll fill you in on a little bit of history, but don't worry, it's not going to be too dry. I was born in 1950. Yep. Back in the middle of the previous century. That was me. And I want to tell you a little bit what it was like growing up queer at that time. I'm going to do it by telling you the story of another guy. In 1953, a young man named Buddy Lester was arrested in Washington, D.C. for soliciting sex from an undercover cop. Now, these are usually handled quietly. You pay your fine. That's mainly why they entrap people, so they can raise money. But Buddy Lester had the misfortune of being the son of a senator, a Democratic senator from Wyoming. And as soon as McCarthy, you know Senator Joe McCarthy, he was the senator from Wisconsin in the 50s, started McCarthyism, the Red Scare, the Lavender Scare. They got hurt, they heard that, and they said, we can pressure Senator Hunt to resign from Congress or to not run for re-election in 1954. And why did they do that? Because the Senate was tied. And as you know, when the Senate is tied, the person casting the tie-breaking vote is the vice president. Guess who was vice president in 1953? Richard Nixon. So you can see how they wanted to get a clear majority. So they said to the senator, would you resign from the Senate? He said, no. Will you agree not to run for re-election? He said, no. And they said, okay, then we're going to talk about your son publicly, and we're going to publish his record, and his life will be ruined. And in June, Senator McCarthy said, and I have dirt on one of the senators, and I'm going to talk about it publicly. The next day, Senator Hunt committed suicide. So the Republicans got their majority the way Republicans always do, by ruining somebody's life in order to stay in power. What's that got to do with me, this little boy about 3 or 4 years old in Milwaukee, Wisconsin? Well, Senator Joe was the Republican senator from Wisconsin, and my father was head of the Young Republicans of Wisconsin. There are pictures of him shaking hands with Senator Joe McCarthy with a big grin on his face. My mother wrote Senator Joe McCarthy's campaign song. He came all the way from Appleton, the nation's going to save. I'll spare you the rest of that. There are pictures of Senator Joe holding me by the hand. History, you don't get to choose your history. It's a little bit like inheriting a house. It's a little like being born into a house that you have inherited. You don't get to pick the house, where the walls are, where the doors are. You're kind of stuck. And it took me a while to realize the house I was born into was too small. There were too many locks on too many doors. There were not enough windows. There were too many closets. So in 1983, I came out of my closet and started rewriting my own history. 1983 was the beginning of the AIDS pandemic. So I pitched in right away. I joined the Boulder County AIDS Project. I started their Speakers Bureau, and we got people together to help people understand what AIDS is really all about. And the people who helped us the most were the lesbians in our community. At that time, gay men could not donate blood, but lesbians could, and they did, in droves, in buckets, in gallons, and they saved a lot of lives that way. We are here living in a historic district. And this historic district is here partly because of the gay people who have been here. You all know, you've heard about Osborne and Woods. That was their store right down there. They helped start the Miners Foundry, or at least rescue it from ruin. And we've had a lot of history in this town. And if there weren't for them, there would be an off-ramp from the highway there where there is now Robinson Plaza. So we have gay people to thank for the history we are living in and amongst right now. And then there was Pat Paddock and her gay son, Stephen Freiberg, who started PFLAG for Nevada County. When they retired from that, then it was taken over by the lesbians, Pat Rose and her partner, and that grew into, eventually, Nevada County Pride. And then let's talk about the flags we're about to put up. That was organized by Erin Manette. Erin, I think I saw you here earlier. Erin, yeah, she helped us with those flags. And of course there was Drew. If you ever met Drew, thank you very much for your comment. If you ever met Drew, he was this tall, handsome, loud, outrageous man. And he proved to me, and he proved to everyone he ever encountered, that being queer is not a lifestyle choice. Being queer is a gift. And the way you value a gift is you share it. So you share the gift of being queer with everyone you meet. Let me bring it back to the end of this history. So what happened to Senator Joe McCarthy? Well, that year, 1954, the Senate voted to censure him. And 3 years later, he died of cirrhosis of the liver. What happened to my father? Well, my father was a lifelong Republican. He happily described himself as to the right of Attila the Hun. But in 1924, he voted for Kamala Harris. So, even a 97-year-old Republican learns things. I'm very happy to be part of that family, part of that house. I'm part of the tradition of this town. Because if anything, it's taught me you can either make history or you can be history. So let's make history. You ready to make some history?
Thank you so much, Lou. When I hear stories of the past, it's easy to think of history as something that's already done, that it's finished. But it isn't finished, right? It's unfolding right now, constantly. And every one of us is a part of what comes next. Lou reminded us of the steps that brought us here. In a few moments, I'm going to invite Jade to the stage to imagine the steps still ahead. But right now, I want to spend a few moments talking about the steps we're standing in right now. So I feel like I say this every single year, which is unfortunate that across our country, LGBTQ+ people are finding ourselves at the center of political attacks, particularly our trans siblings. We're finding ourselves at the center of cultural fear and efforts to erase our stories. And yet, here we are. Here we are gathering openly. Here we are celebrating openly the whole month long and beyond. Here we are building community together. And not because the work is finished, we know it's not, right? But because community is how we survive unfinished work. I want to say that again. Community is how we survive unfinished work. So every year, we gather here to raise the flags, both atop City Hall and along these streets. And I find that it's not the flags necessarily that give us belonging, although the flags are definitely a symbol of what the city values. I'm proud to serve for a city that values us and shows us that every year. 6 years ago, as it's been mentioned, Erin Minette and I, we were the first jurisdiction in our county to formally proclaim June as Pride Month. And then, And I always like to mention that first year that we rose the flag atop City Hall, there were 3 of us. It was Erin, myself, and Pascal from Yubanet. And of course, we've grown, right? A few years later, Grass Valley joined us, and then of course the county. So what began as a small act of visibility grew into something larger. And that's how culture changes, right? It doesn't change all at once. It's not through a single proclamation or a single event, but through people showing up year after year saying, this matters. Until one day, what once felt new simply becomes part of who we are, right? I'm often thinking about the young people who are growing up here now. For them, it may be hard to imagine a June without rainbow flags lining downtown. They may never know a Nevada city that didn't raise the pride flag atop City Hall. And honestly, that's the point, right? And not because we should forget history, right? But because when culture shifts, belonging stops feeling extraordinary and starts feeling ordinary. That's what happens when culture shifts. It becomes woven into the fabric of a place, of this place. And I think that kind of change is super powerful. Because every young person, all of you here today, you deserve to grow up in a place where you know you belong. Not as an exception, not as a debate, but as a given. I've learned over the years that a community becoming welcoming doesn't happen by accident, right? A community becomes welcoming because people choose to participate over and over again, to volunteer, to care for one another, to speak up, to show up. Speaking of showing up, tomorrow is election day. How are folks feeling about that? Who'd you vote for governor? And while I believe that pride is bigger than partisan politics, our lives are shaped by the choices that communities make. The same spirit that brings us together here this evening is the spirit that asked us to help shape the future of this place we call home. Whether it's voting, whether it's mentoring a young person, supporting your neighbors, or simply making room for someone to fully be themselves. That's the work of right now, y'all. It's the work of community. We don't build these traditions alone. So when everybody grabs a flag later in a few moments and helps us line these streets, I want you to imagine that each of those flags carries the fingerprints of people who have loved this community into existence. And we are probably talking about the time when this community was the village of Ustama, through Osborne and Woods, and until now. Drew, so many fingerprints have helped love this community into existence, because community is not something we inherit, it's something we create together, step by step. So with that, I'm gonna invite Jade up
for some comments.
Okay, thank you. I want to see a future where our youth don't just survive, but they truly thrive. I still remember so vividly the moment I first drove down Broad Street at 10 years old and saw the pride flags twirling in the wind, stretching as far as the buildings went. My heart felt so close to bursting with pure joy. I looked around and thought, wow, our community is so supportive. I'm so lucky to live here. Now, exactly 5 years later, I stand in front of this beautiful, diverse crowd. We are united today, and in every year since that first moment, to share our joy with the rest of this town. We are a unique community, yes, but we are also part of a greater whole, and our town is incredibly lucky to have this moment. We raise these flags to show the world that we exist, and that we are proud of who we are. We raise them to let others know that they are not alone, because we are always stronger together. My deepest hope for the future is that the rest of our town can see that we are not separate. We belong here. Together, we are creating a brand new story, one that will shape our youth forever. A story that erases old, negative stereotypes and replaces them with a world where our youth can run down the street hand in hand without a single fear. We are so close to that dream. I can feel it. I can feel everyone in this crowd reaching out, ready to grasp it. I see this dream in the way our elders fought just to exist. I see it in the way our youth are now pushing to thrive. We've come so far that when my school thought a GSA, Gender Sexuality Alliance, wasn't needed anymore because everyone is just accepting, I stood up and I brought it back anyway. To make sure that acceptance is real, active, and lasting. My small, welcoming high school may not realize it, but the greatest power comes from active support. Beyond our weekly meetings, our GSA created a bracelet booth fundraiser on our campus. We collaborated with NEO's Youth Center to create a queer movie night, and we organized a large group of our friends to attend a local event for queer youth at the Miners Foundry in April. The work our GSA has done has in turn had a potent impact on me and feeds my hope for the future. My greatest wish is that we can build a future where total acceptance isn't just a goal on paper. It should be made a reality for this entire town, this entire country, and every generation to come.
All right, who's ready to bespeckle the town with lots of color? Excellent. I'm going to ask that all the young people, that we prioritize young people doing this task and that we support them in that. Lou, you want to come up with me and give the directions?
Sure. We very handily have a little visual aid right here behind you. That's where the flags go. Notice that there are 5 holes for them, so put them in number 2 and number 4. If you put them on the outside, they just fall off. If you put them in the middle, it sends the wrong message. So, 2 and 4 on all the poles up and down Broad Street, Commercial, Spring, and Pine. Okay? You're ready to make history? Make it!
Oh, wait! We have to raise the flag! Shane, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Let's give me a countdown. Ready? Yeah. So let's go from 3 to 1, and then I'll place this flag in the holder. Ready? 3,
2, 1.
A couple more things. Can you believe? I almost forgot that. Wow, that's a really important part. A couple of things. If there are leftover flags, please do not take them home. Bring them back. We will hold on to them. Those flags were made possible by the generous support of UBNet, Pascal and Susan. Thank you so much.
please come back to City Hall at 7 p.m. for an opening for a special Pride exhibit in our Champ Gallery.